Alright. It's Aaron here. I was gonna make this video, the first ever, about Worlds. First weekend and why I think it's a bit of a disappointment. And before anyone is like, wow, holy shit, like wow, you're so negative that you even made a video about it. Uh I wanted to make a video because I don't want this to be entirely negative. I feel like if I made an article, people would have assumed like, oh wow, you're just being negative per usual. I don't mean to come off as negative as I do, so I figured I'd make a video so that there's some tone to my voice whenever like you get my thought process a little better whenever you hear my voice and like put it to the words. So Worlds, uh, Pain just beat Flash Wolves. So day three is done or day four is done. The half of group stage is over. And if you're watching this, you probably follow me on Twitter. You've probably seen a lot of tweets from me that come off as negative. That I'm like, wow, this sucks. Like, Worlds is not good. And this video is just kind of to explain that, just kind of expound on it. Expound. Wow, what a word. Uh, expand on it. Uh, first off, like really the number one reason why I'm extremely disappointed in this Worlds so far, and how I think it's going to play out from here on out at least, is that Korea is still at the top, and China, despite taking so much from Korea, is like so disappointing, so bad, so bad. LGD has looked absolutely atrocious, and IG has looked not surprising, like very inconsistent. Uh, well, they're like consistently inconsistent. Like you know what you're gonna get. You know they're a coin flip. So and it's just I don't know. Like the fact that Korea is at the top still is worrying. It's a worrying fucking trend. It's very worrying for this upcoming off season and the next year or so. Because if Korea wins, SK Telecom wins, which I think they're going to do, I think it's not going to be much of an issue. I think they're going to win it all pretty easily. Like if they win it all, then eh, nothing changes in Korea and everything changes in China. In Korea, players get paid jack shit, and the conditions that basically their playing conditions aren't amazing, not amazing, and they don't get paid anything really. Well, the top players get paid a lot, but if you're not a top player, you're not making anything. So nothing's going to change on that front if Korea doesn't lose. If Korea loses, the chances of them being like, oh, well, shit, we should probably shell a little bit more out, pay for these players, try and get some back from China, and, get back to the top. I think that would be best. I think that would be for the best. And meanwhile, in China, if China loses, like, if they lose after taking so much from Korea, all those coaches, all those players, like, if they still lose, which it looks very probable that they're gonna lose. Like EDG is the only hope. IG is probably not getting out of their group, and LGD is almost assuredly not getting out of their group. LGD was the number like a pick everyone had to win it all, and they're not getting out of their group. Barring some miracle, they're not getting out of their group. So it looks grim. Looks grim for China, at least, because if they don't win anything this year, after taking so much. Like, are their owners going to keep shelling out all this money for losers? Like, I don't know. Like, you kind of have to ask yourself, are they going to keep putting money towards teams that can't win it all this money? Are they going to keep shelling out, $500,000 for a player who's not going to win it all? Who's not going to give them the return that they want? The fame. The fame, and I guess the money. I mean, shit, a world champion. Everyone remembers toys. Not even that great, not even an incredible player, but everyone remembers him because he was a world champion. So uh, like if they can't win it all this year, then what are they gonna do? Are they like? I'm sure there's someone with more Chinese insight than I who can provide a little more in-depth stuff, but like you got to think that they're either going to shut shit down or they're going to go all out and steal, not steal. Steal is such a bad word for that because the players are in good conditions in China, but like, are they gonna buy more from Korea and take even more from Korea? You have to ask yourself, is that what's gonna happen? Or so like these are the things that it's very disappointing to me that China is looking so bad because of the effects that it could have. Like this was a rebuilding year for Korea, and they're still at the top. You have ambition. Ambition is juggling on a top five Korean team this year. That's as rebuilding as it gets, and they're still at the top. They're still the best region. They still have the best team. Uh, And it's not even like SKT is the only team that's like performing well. Like Ku is a heavily flawed team. Yet they're in an easy fucking group, so it doesn't even matter. But like they're playing like they shit on Pain, they shit on CLG, and then they shit on Flash Wolves for like most of their game until they like basically if you ban Gangplank, who has been banned in 21 of the 24 games thus far, and he's 3-0. He won the 3 games that he didn't get banned in. Like, uh, I mean, like so Ku looked pretty good. They're probably gonna win the rest of their matches. I expect them to at least. KT shit stomped LGD. They comfortably beat TSM, and then they lost in a close one to Origin. I think the rematch is gonna be very good. I'd love to see that in a best of five, but it won't happen due to the rules. Well, unless they both make finals, which I don't think is gonna happen. It's just like this is a rebuilding year, and these Korean teams are still at the top. Like I think that's bad. I think that's bad for the development of Korea. I think that's bad for the development of China. Like, it's just like that's incredibly disappointing. And I think like this is the type of thing that think about in the back of my mind is just the effects of this tournament that could have in China and in Korea. If China wins it all, then maybe Korean teams think like, wow, we should probably put a little bit more, spend a little more money on our players, on our support staff, on everything. Put a little more money into the esports division of our company. But if they win, they're not going to think that. They're going to think, it's whatever. Still the best. Like, but in China, it's more volatile. I think it's more volatile just because of the amount of money that is being tossed around there. So it's just I don't know. The results thus far have been extremely disappointing. I did not think LGD was going to look as bad as they were. I thought IG could possibly look as bad as they would, but I don't know. It's just LGD, who were like the only other serious contender out of China outside of EDG, and they just completely shit the bed. So figured I'd expand on that. just because like the effects it could have on those two regions, this one tournament is pretty large, I think. And then just I don't know, some other disappointments I've had, like the patch, the patch that we're playing on. It's a joke. It's a joke. You know, like yeah, you get more diversity. Like there were 61 champions played all of season 4 worlds, and we've had 59 champions picked or banned thus far. Yeah, 61 were picked and banned in season 4 world championship, and 59 have been picked or banned thus far through only half the group stage. Like, and people say like, oh, it's it's great. See more diversity. Yeah, I guess you're seeing more diversity, but let's see here. Gangplank and Mordekaiser have been banned in 21 of the 24 matches. Those are new champs, by the way. New champs. Mordekaiser got reworked. He's a fucking Dragon Keeper now. So he got reworked. He's been banned in 21 of the 24 matches. He was picked in 2. He hasn't been picked or banned in 1 match. He won both matches he got picked in. Yeah. Gangplank banned 21 of the 24 matches. He was picked in the 3 that he didn't get banned in, and he's 3-0. Lulu, sitting at 95.8% pick ban rate. She's 4-4 win-loss, but she was banned in 15 of the 24 matches. And then Elise, she's the only other outside of Gangplank who has been picked or banned in 100% of the matches. Darius has been picked in 87.5% of the matches. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I guess you're getting more diversity because there's more champs being played, but the champ balance right now is just so out of whack. The patch itself is just, God, it's terrible. I think the patch balance is horrible. And you see these new items that are coming out, Steric's Gauge, or Steric's Rage, or whatever the fuck it's called. And then Dead Man's Plate, which has been a staple defensive item on fucking everyone because it's so absurd. The amount of stats it gives and the passive is absurd. Like the movement speed, the slow. It's a dumbass item. Like, I mean, you're seeing a lot more diversity uh, in the mid lane, I guess, but top lane, it's basically Gnar Darius. Gnar Darius, Olaf, basically it. I mean, you're seeing a little more diversity in like the ADC position and mid lane, but jungle wise, basically, yeah, you're seeing Elise every single game. Elise has been picked banned 100% of the time. Uh, Lee has seen a little play. Gragas has seen a lot of play. Rek'Sai has seen a lot of play. So I don't know. It's just the patch itself. I can't believe that we're only seeing these are the first matches we're seeing on this patch, and the level of play has been horrible. Like in general, it's been pretty terrible. I mean, Origin games have been pretty good, but I think that's mostly because of fucking Genius, who's their coach. So makes sense. Like I think that's it. Like Koma, he's one of the best coaches of all time. SKT's adapted pretty well, it looks like. Origin, Hermit, great fucking coach, best in the West, and they've adapted well. EDG, Aaron, I'm sure they're going to adapt pretty well once they get rid of Amazing J and bring back Quora 1, which I'm sure is going to happen after groups. Those are like the top 3. Those are the 3 best teams in this tournament right there. And every other team just the level of play has just not looked very good. And I think a lot of that is due to the patch, and that's one of the things that just really disappoints me. But I don't know. And then lastly, just one of my other gripes about Worlds is that it just seems that every single team that outside of SKT and Origin, those are the only two teams that I can think that right now in group stages doesn't have this massive exploitable weakness that is just like glaring, like a fucking black hole, where it just sucks in all the light. Like, Ku has Hojin, who's like, just, he's not a good jungler. Prey is also not a good ADC. And IG has Kitties, and Kid to a lesser extent. Just their bot lane in general is just, it's a black hole. LGD has TBQ, who is, Jesus Christ, like, does the guy have trouble getting dressed in the morning or something? Like, how does he use the keyboard? And KT has Nagne, who's just, he's bad. Just not a good mid. EDG has amazing J right now, which I'm sure they're gonna get Cora back in there whenever he can play. But again, he's a black hole right now. He's a fucking Darius main who's just like, he's so bad. He's bad. And I think that it's just. But then again, I'm probably like, I think my standards are too high because like even at Last Worlds you saw Samsung White, who were basically a near flawless team. Looper wasn't an incredible player, but he was still a good top laner. Pawn wasn't an incredible mid laner in season 4, but he was still a good player. He was still a pretty good player, pretty damn good. And then you had like Mata Dandy, who were like all time greats. And but then you had like Samsung Blue, who for the most part were like incredible across every position. And outside of those two, you had pretty flawed teams, I guess. I mean, I guess it's just my expectations that for what the game should look like, for what these teams should look like, is pretty. I guess I just have too high of expectations. So I look at these teams that have huge flaws, and I think like they shouldn't have these flaws. So that's probably my fault for being disappointed there. But I don't know. But I don't know. Here's a few positives though about this. So let's keep it less about disappointments, more about positives. Uh, the four teams that have just like kind of looked pretty good, I guess. Origin, obviously, have looked phenomenal in the group of death, the toughest group. Just great team. They've adapted well to the patch, and I think I could very well see them make the finals if they end up avoiding SKT and EDG. I think them making finals wouldn't be too tough. KT has looked pretty solid. Yeah, I mean, even though Nagne has looked really bad, uh, they looked pretty solid. SKT obviously looked great. EDG has looked pretty solid. I mean, yeah, they looked pretty bad in LPL playoffs, but they picked it up in regionals. And then they came here, they beat the shit out of HGK and the wildcard team. They're both wildcard teams, I mean, let's be honest, HGK. Like, and then they lost SKT pretty convincingly. But they have Amazing J, so who knows? I expect them to pick it up. And Cloud9, surprisingly, just because they keep running Azir Trist and no one is punishing them. Who they run the tower pushing strat and no one stops it. No one's doing anything about it. No one's punishing them for that. Or no one's like stopping them from running it, I guess. Like it's just so stupid. You'd think a team would like adapt over a game or two. Like it's just ridiculous. But I mean those teams have looked pretty good. Coup also looked pretty solid. I will give them that. They've looked pretty solid, despite the Flash Wolves loss, which was basically due to leaving Gangplank up. Like Champs Freelo at the moment. I don't know. I guess another positive for the world so far is the entertainment value. Uh, just due to more parity, you're seeing more champions being played that you normally wouldn't see. I think it's fucking stupid that they're being played because they're not balanced at all. But it's more champions being played, more variety, more diversity, just parity involved with all these teams. Like Pain won a game. Like I mean, like last year when Kaboom won a game, it was like holy shit, Kaboom beat a team. Like wow. But this year, Pain won a game, and everyone was like, oh, well, I mean, I guess they won a game. Like nice. It wasn't a shocker. I think that just has to do with the fact that the level of play this year has been pretty bad, so parity has increased. The parity has increased, which in turn the level of play has just looked worse and worse. But like last year, it was expected that one of the Samsung teams was going to win it all. And whenever people realized like Samsung Blue didn't really show up, everyone was like, okay, Samsung White's going to win it all easily, unless Samsung Blue like somehow trips them up in semis. And White was prepared. Uh, White was prepared, and Blue wasn't, and they won. They won it all easily. In season three, it was SKT or bust. Like there was no other team that was going to beat SKT at Worlds, and everyone kind of knew it. But this year, I mean, I guess you could say SKT is a clear favorite, SKT or EDG. But you still see these teams like Cloud9 or COG or Q or KT or Origin even that look a lot better right now. That look pretty solid. So I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, that was Worlds has been disappointing. I hope it gets better. I hope that teams figure out this patch quickly because right now it's kind of a clown fiesta of like we're just gonna pick random shit and it's gonna work out. But I don't know. I know it was cool seeing stuff like it is cool seeing stuff like Origin breaking out Anivia because they're like the only team to play Anivia this year. They're the only team to like make it work. So props to Hermit for being like the only analyst in the world to make Anivia work. The Nivea Lulu, that was pretty nice, but uh, I don't know. I mean, I hope they get it. I hope they get it going. I hope they figure out the patch. I hope these teams start looking a little better. I hope certain players start picking up their game. Preferably the black holes on certain teams like Kojin and Nagne and Amazing J if he still stays in. But yeah, I hope that gives some context to some of my bitching and moaning on Twitter, which there's a lot of it. It's been kind of disappointing. I hope it gets better. I hope, and while I shit on Korea, like, and I'm like, I hope they lose. I am glad that certain players are performing well. I don't root for teams. I just root for players, really. And I think it's good certain players are performing well. Even if I don't want Korea to win, I really don't want Korea to win because I think the effects of Korea winning are far more outweigh the positives of like Korea still being at the top. So yeah, hope that gives more context and yeah, peace.